I'm back. Sorry I didn't get back to you the other day. I spent the rest of that day and all of yesterday working with Dame, trying to keep her out of the nest box because it was getting serious and I really did not want to get fertilized eggs and try to find somewhere to put her with her eggs, and I think it worked. She spent last night on the roost and not in the nest box, and today she's walking around with her sisters. She's not even thinking about the nest box. So hopefully all that dedication and attention that I spent giving her the past couple of days worked. I just took her out every few minutes. I went out there and took her out, kind of just disrupting her mentality, which was to sit in the nest box. And I don't know, every half an hour or so I was out there moving her, and I think it was worth it because she seems to be doing okay. All right, so I have a little project for today, but before I did do that project, I wanted to get back to these books that I talked to you about. First, I'm going to show you books that I own. Most of the books that I own that relate to this topic of modern homesteading. Books are so important. One of the reasons, well, I just love books. I've always been a book lover, every kind of book. But now when it comes to homesteading, there are things that you can learn online. There are things that you can learn on YouTube. And then there's things that you get out of a book, which is more detail, more explanation, more wise, and I like that. So besides the fact, you know, there could be a time when you don't have YouTube or the internet. Who knows? Whether it's because of a temporary power outage, even if that power outage is just for a day, but we know that it can happen for 3 days, a week. The longest I have been without power, let's see, 9 days, I think, 8 or 9 days. I was living in Puerto Rico. There was a tornado, a hurricane, and yeah, no water, no power for about 8 or 9 days. It was kind of crazy. There was no, internet was like new. You know, it was like a new thing. It was nothing like it is today. But today, if we had no internet, I think people would go crazy. And one of the things that would happen is you couldn't get on to look at your favorite person on YouTube and get answers to your questions, and you would need your books. And so let me just share with you a couple of books that I have. The one that I'm most excited about is this one. It's called Homesteading from Scratch. And my husband saw it at Tractor Supply one day when we were there, and he asked me if I wanted it, and I hemmed and hawed because I was looking at the price. I should never have looked at the price, but he bought it, and I've just skimmed through it. I always flip through and look at the pictures, but it really has some good information in it. Build your self-sufficient homestead start to finish. So it's everything you need to know, basically. I'm just going to read a couple of the chapters. What is homesteading? What do you bring to the table? Self-sufficiency, the importance of food, where do I get land, how to farm, animal husbandry, I'm kind of into that right now, and record keeping and planning. I'm trying to be better at that. In the past years, I have not been good at recording things so that I can go back and look. I kind of start out and then I just get flustered and frustrated or just busy, put things in the ground, and then I'm like, what did I plant here? So it's good to have records. Dollars and cents is another section, and the chapters under that is a business plan, financing, marketing, the importance of fiber animals, crochet, knitting, macrame, sewing, and more, which is very important in homesteading. The more that you can do for yourself, the better, but we know that we can't do everything, and that's good in a way because we get to support other people that are trying to do the same thing that we are. They just have other niches and doing something different than we are, and we can support each other. Canning, dairy, fermentation, eggs, the basics of baking, very important. Cooking and baking, something you need to know, even if it's just the basics. children, community, and marking time. So I am excited to sit and get cozy with this book and see all that it has to offer. When I first mentioned to a friend that I wanted to keep chickens here, I've kept chickens before in Oklahoma, but when I got here to New Mexico and mentioned to a friend that I wanted to do that, her husband gifted me this book. And I love the stories books. There's Stories Guide to Everything that you can possibly want. This is the Stories Guide to Raising Chickens. It's their 4th edition. And he worked in an industry of chickens. Actually, he went to school to learn about chickens, raising chickens, obviously on a much larger scale. He doesn't do that right now, but he gifted me this book, and I've used it several times because I've had questions in the middle of the night, things that I needed to know, and we used it. We used it as we built our chicken coop, as we got our first babies, because when I had chickens before, I got them about 13 or 14 weeks old, and probably a little bit older, because I remember bringing the first batch home in cardboard boxes and getting home and there was an egg. So they were at least 16 weeks or older, but for the majority they were about 13 weeks old. So I had never dealt with chicks before, so I needed some instruction, and this book was good for that. Okay, the other book that I have that I will be honest I have not looked through is this one. This is an important book to have. It's called The Survival Medicine Handbook, the essential guide for when help is not on the way. So just for whatever, from removing a splinter to splinting a bone, this book will be helpful with that. I have some knowledge of first aid and a little bit more in-depth first aid. I loved learning about that when I was younger and learning some basic skills. I was also a midwife, so I know a little bit about suturing. I know a little bit about everything, but I am definitely not a master of any of these things. So we thought it would be good to have this book, and the people that wrote this book, let's see, I'm trying to find their names. Joseph Alton and Amy Alton. She's a nurse. He's actually, I think she's a nurse practitioner, and he's a doctor. And they offer not only the book with all the information, but they have kits for everything that you would want, like kits for when there's a broken bone, kits for delivering a baby, kits for, you know, all the different things. And so I want to look through the book, familiarize myself with it a little bit, decide which kits I want to spend my money on, and think about whether it's worth it to buy. I mean, I'm sure it's worth it to buy it, but could I do the same thing for less if I decided to put the kit together myself? For time saving, of course, it would be better to just buy a kit from them. But I'm going to decide. I might buy a couple of kits from them and then use their information in here to put a couple of kits together myself, or add things to their kits. For example, we use essential oils extensively for our health. Physical, emotional, we use it for our cat, we use it for our chickens, we use it in the garden. So putting together a kit or buying a kit from them and then adding our oils or anything like that that I decide to do. But just having this is kind of a, it is a big book, but it's not so big that you can throw it in your car with you if you had to bug out or something like that. But, or just having it here and knowing what to do right away would be a good thing for you, just to have it and know what to do, so you're not like panicking if you can't leave. Obviously, for the most part, we just get in the car and go to urgent care or whatever. Most of us can do that. But what if there is no urgent care? What if it's some kind of disaster situation? What if you're not going to be able to get to the hospital, or you hear that the hospitals are so crowded? I know several months back during the pandemic, my father-in-law had to be taken to the hospital, and he was just in a hallway for hours because there was no one to see him. So yeah, knowing what to do in emergency situations gives you a sense of calm, and that's why I like this book. The other book that I have that I want to show you is called Meals in a Jar. And I love this book because one of the things that I try to do here on our little homestead is we have 2 freezers in a small shed, not much else in the shed, just some shelves with, you know, tools and things like that. But I try the best that I can not to keep everything in the freezer. Why? Because if the power goes out, everything in your freezer is going to be lost, depending on how long your power is gone. And so I like this book because it has several ideas, quick and easy, just add water, homemade recipes. And it's dehydrated things, spices, just other things that are dried like pasta, etc. You have it all in a jar, and basically you have a meal. And you don't need to go to your freezer or rely on your freezer. So I just opened this, and the first thing I opened to here was tuna noodle casserole. So you have everything you need to make tuna noodle casserole. Probably a can of tuna is involved in it. You have pasta, you have some vegetables. Let's see, I'll read the ingredients. Salt, egg noodles, cream of mushroom or cream of chicken, tuna, and 1.5 pounds cheddar cheese, vacuum sealed into 4 ounce chunks. So I'm not sure if that's powdered or what that is, but I would have to read it. Oh, it says 1 packet of cheddar cheese. So yeah, so you put all that together, you put it in a jar. I've seen the person I learned about this book from was, I think it's called, her channel is Rose Red. And she is great because she's a professor, and she's all about the science of everything. And so you get a lot of information from her. But she has hers in little brown bags with handles, and she has them all she describes them all in her shed or in her garage, all lined up, where she can just go grab a bag, and that bag has a meal. Everything she needs for the meal, and she uses this book. And I don't have the ability to do that. I don't have a shed that is insulated or a garage. I wish. But I'm a problem solver, and I just try to think about ways that I can do things. So this is something that I do in a limited way, and just use these pantries back here. These are from IKEA. I have 3 of them. I'm hoping to get some more of them. Yeah, I live in an RV. Yes, where am I going to put that? I will make room. I will figure it out. But pulled pork. Hello. Yeah, it would be nice to have that in a jar. So, of course, that one probably includes canned pork. I have a lot of that up here. So, yeah, great book to have, to guide you, to help you, to give you ideas, to give you recipes, to have food on hand without using your freezer or your refrigerator. Okay, let's see, which book do I want to show you? I want to show you this one. It is another favorite of mine, The First Time Homesteader. This is my 3rd time borrowing this from the library. All of these books that I'm going to show you right now are from the library. And my library has this book written by Jess from over at Roots and Refuge YouTube channel, because I asked them to carry it. I said, I'd like to request you to carry a book, and they said, what book? And I gave it to them, and they got it, and when they got it, they called me, and I love this book. I've gotten it 3 times, which says something. That means I really like it, and that's my kind of guideline for whether I buy a book or not. So, I am buying this book this month because it has excellent information, a complete beginner's guide to starting and loving your new homestead. She talks about modern homesteading. She talks about what homesteading means today. It doesn't mean having 60 acres and cows and all the things that you think of homesteading as being. And I really, really appreciate the book. It helped me change my mindset a little bit about, well, actually a lot, about homesteading and what it means. So check this one out, you guys, and if your library doesn't have it, ask them to carry it. I just asked my library to carry 2 other books. Oh, I can't think of the names of them, but one is from Dahlia over at Chickenlandia. I like her channel. It's all about chickens, and she wrote a book, and I asked my library to carry. And the other one is from, her name doesn't come to me, but her channel is Whispering Willow Farm, and she's connected to Roots and Refuge Farm because she bought Roots and Refuge Farm when Roots and Refuge Farm moved from Arkansas to North Carolina. Okay, very good book. Okay, Ball, Canning Back to Basics. You need this. If you're gonna do any kind of homesteading, I mean, even if you are in your condo, because you can be a homesteader in a condo, it has some really easy recipes, a foolproof guide to canning jams, jellies, pickles, and more. So it's a very easy way to start. It has tomato recipes, and it gives you the basics. It's not very overwhelming, and I don't think I've borrowed this one before, but I just wanted to get some different recipes. Red plum raspberry jelly, that sounds interesting. I mean, of course it has your strawberry jelly, which is a typical, but I wanted to do some like orange marmalade, things like that, and so I thought I would get this book. Quick Set Grapefruit Marmalade. That sounds interesting and different, right? So that's why I got this one. This one I have had for, oh, this is my third time renewing it. I said, how often can I renew a book? They said, if nobody wants it, you can keep renewing it. So 5 ingredient dinners, and this is from America's Test Kitchen. I used to watch that all the time on Saturdays. Of course, this is a different batch of people. It's new blood, but they have great recipes, and it's what I like, because I like to cook easy, fast. I don't want it to be tasteless, but I don't want to have special equipment and special ingredients, and just anything that I can do really quick. Shrimp risotto, 5 ingredients, you guys. What else? Pork chops with horseradish, green beans, smoky pork and hominy soup, beef tomatillo and white bean stew, chicken thighs with fennel, orange, and olives. So they can take 5 ingredients, spice them up, and you have something special for dinner. This one is going to be in my my Amazon list for next month, because I definitely want this. 3rd time renewing it. Remember I said if I get a book more than 3 times, that means I really love it. Okay, Instant Pot cheese. I saw this and I said, what? I have got to get this, because cheese is the next thing on my list. I make yogurt in my Instant Pot. Why can't I make cheese in my Instant Pot? I'm just trying to decide, do I want to go with cow's milk, goat's milk? I guess maybe it depends on the kind of cheese that you want. I am starting simply with mozzarella, and I don't know if there's a mozzarella recipe in here. There probably is. I have not opened this really yet. I just flipped through it a little bit. And being able to preserve dairy, like milk, because I get 2 gallons at a time, and it's only my husband and I, and so it would be great to know what to do with the extra milk. And in this case, it's making cheese, and if I can simplify by using my Instant Pot, why not? Okay, let's see. The Instant Kitchen Cookbook. This is the official cookbook of the Instant Pot. I have 2 Instant Pots. I might get rid of one. My husband wanted to get me an Instant Pot a few years ago, and I was like, I'll never use it. I hate using gadgets like that. Don't get it. He got it. I use it all the time. I love it. And then I got the Instant Pot Max, and the reason I got that one is because you can can in it. And to ensure that I could can in it, and to make sure that it was really going to work and I wasn't going to kill us by poisoning us with bad food that I can, I watched Rose Red, and she did all her little science stuff, and proved that yes, you can can in the Instant Pot Max. It comes with a canning setting, so it's not like you're trying to rig it to do something it wasn't intended to do. So I love that Instant Pot, but I think I'm going to swap it out or keep that one and get rid of the other one because I don't have room to have all the things. I need to get rid of something to bring something else in. And I'm thinking about the Presto canner because you can put more. It's a bigger device. You can put more cans in it and you can get more done. More on that later. So this one has some good looking recipes, and like I said, I love the Instant Pot because I can cook a meal for my husband and I in 30 minutes sometimes, depending on what it is. Less than an hour, 40 minutes, let's see, 25. I did some country ribs the other day. It was 25 minutes in the Instant Pot because it was partially frozen, and then 10 minutes in the oven. So that's 35 minutes. You can't beat that. And it was delicious. Okay. So, Instant Pot's official cookbook. Can't wait to look through that. What else? It's always freezer season. How to freeze like a chef with 100 make-ahead recipes. And I just talked about not having a bunch of stuff in the freezer. But I don't want to have anything in the freezer that... Well, I don't want to have a lot of things in the freezer that are for long-term preservation, except for, like, we get a quarter of a cow every year. I need to put that in the freezer, right? But I do can a bunch of that meat so that it's not all in the freezer. And I like to have frozen meals in the freezer. The other day, I was so tired. We were both so tired. Working in the garden, expanding the chicken run, doing all the things, and I said, oh, I don't think I have anything in the freezer, but I sure hope I do. So I went digging around in there, and guess what I found? Chicken fajitas with the rice. Everything was in there. I made the fajitas, seasoned it with the peppers, yellow and red peppers, sliced, all in a bag, seasoned, ready to go, and I cooked some rice, put it in a bag, ready to go, put it all in a gallon-sized bag, and put it in the freezer. I was so glad for that. So I found it, I brought it out, I threw the meat into the Instant Pot. It was done in very short time because it was little pieces of meat. It wasn't like, you know, country cut ribs. So it was finished really quickly. It was just a matter of putting the rice on low with a drizzle of water, putting the cover on it, steaming it, and it was done in minutes. So I love having that. So I just wanted some different ideas of what I could do for freezing things. It has breakfast things. It has, green bean casserole. I know that's popular. It's not something that I gravitate towards. Have I ever had green bean casserole? I've probably eaten it somewhere, but probably not. But it's there anyway if you like that. Tomato and greens minestrone. That sounds good. Cabbage salad. You wouldn't think of that, right? But probably because cabbage is a little firmer, it won't disintegrate. Carnitas tacos, one of my hubby's favorites. So all of those things you can freeze, and he even has desserts. So it's always freezer season. I hope to get some good ideas from this. All right, what do I want to show you next? The Good Garden. How to nurture pollinators, soil, native wildlife, and healthy food all in your own backyard. This just sounded interesting. Last year we didn't have a lot of pollinators. The year before we had a lot more. And I don't know what the reason was. So this year I wanted to do more flowers, or I want to do more flowers. I want to work more at attracting pollinators. I want to learn more of, this is about nurturing healthy soil. I didn't do very well at composting, so I'd like to learn some more things. Yeah, not just the pollinators and the soil, but I'm interested in what it has to say about native wildlife. I don't know where this person is located, but hopefully they can tell me something about this area and native wildlife here. Oh, look at that, it's a bat. Keep the hummingbirds happy. Well, hummingbirds don't have a problem around here. That is one thing that we have a lot of. I wish we could have frogs. I really love frogs and toads, and I think we saw one last year during the monsoon, and I wonder, where did he come from and where did he go? I mean, it was flooded back there, and there he was when I went to check on the chickens, but then he disappeared after the rain stopped and the water got absorbed. And yeah, I wish I could keep a frog. Okay, so that's what this is here for, the good garden. All about having good soil, etc. And gardening for everyone, growing vegetables, herbs, and more at home. This one just seemed nice. I'm sure I'm just going to find general things in here. How to support plants, how to make compost tea. Some of those things I do already. Helpful tools to have in the garden. She has lovely pictures. Yeah, so container sizes for different plants. Oh, I wish I could have cornflowers. Yeah. How to plant things, how to sow things, when to plant things, etc., etc. And I just thought I would learn something new from looking through this book. And then last but not least, raising rabbits. This is something that I am thinking about. I am not 100% sure about it, you guys. I go from rabbits to goats to rabbits to goats. I don't know which I want first. Goats are not intimidating, but rabbits just seem like easier, maybe you know, a step between chickens and goats. It could be rabbits, but I worry because rabbits don't do well in heat, depending on the breed, and we have severe heat here. They do so much better in cold weather. And the purpose of having the rabbits for me is fertilizer, not just for myself, but it's something that could be some revenue for my little homestead. Right now, the eggs that I sell, I don't make money from them, but it covers the cost of my feed, which is good. It is a big deal. So I'm breaking even, maybe, or close to it. So rabbits, not only is the rabbit manure perfect for fertilizing, it's better than chicken fertilizer in that it's ready right away. You don't have to wait. Chicken fertilizer is hot and you have to wait several weeks before you can use it. Rabbit fertilizer you can use that day, you know, or the next day, and it's fine. So that's something that I could sell to people who want it. And then some people might want to buy rabbits for food. I don't know if that's something I would do. I'm not sure, but I just like the idea of rabbits. Let's see, this is another stories guide. Remember I said they have a guide to everything? Here's a stories guide to raising rabbits. So last month I borrowed the goat book. The month before that, I borrowed a different rabbit book. This month, I have a different rabbit book. So, yeah, I'm going to read through it, and I'm going to make up my mind here soon which one is going to be next for me. So, this is my stack of books. Let's see. These are the library books. And, unfortunately, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's a book missing. Oh, no, there's a video. You can only get 10 books at a time. I had one at home that I forgot about, the 5-ingredient dinner, and then I borrowed a video, and so that's it. I could only get 10 items, and well, 10 is good. 10 is enough. And then these are the ones that I have here at home. I have some other books. I have another Instant Pot meal book, Instant Pot recipe book, and a few other books I'll share with you next time. But it's important to have books, you guys. You learn a lot. It widens your horizons. It gets you thinking in other directions, and I think it's a good addition to, well, at least, or the other way around. I like to view the YouTube videos and things that I watch as supplementary to the books that I read. Okay, so the project for today is last night, before we collapsed because we were tired again, we brought the straw bales into the garden. So they're set up and ready to go. So I'm going to take you outside and show you how we are going to prepare them for planting. All right, let's go.
All right, well, let's get to conditioning these bales. So I have 2 bales here, and then I have 2 over there. I think I need 1 more bale. These bales are lower. They're not as tall as the bales I had last year, and I noticed that I think they're shorter as well, and they only have 2 strings. And I know that there's a difference. My bales from last year were taller. I'm looking at some old ones right now. They had 3 strings, and I think it's because they were taller. And I did get these at a different place. So I may, the next bale I get, I may get from the usual place because I want more area. So I want it longer. All right, so the first thing that you need to have is your nitrogen. Some kind of nitrogen-rich fertilizer. I did not want to go out to the nursery that I usually go to. It's quite a ways away, and I just went to Home Depot and I found this weed and feed, and it has 2303. So 2803. So it's mostly nitrogen, and we're going to use this to start. Probably in week 2 I will go, or maybe this weekend, it just depends. I will go get the other nitrogen. It's called urea, and it's really high in nitrogen. I think it's like 43, maybe 45 in the nitrogen, and then it's 00. All right, so this is what we're going to use this time around. And then the other thing that you might want to have is some kind of tools to poke holes in your bales. I've done it without poking holes, and I've done it with poking holes, and poking holes seems to it just works better, I think, because the nitrogen gets down in the bales. This wasn't the best thing. This was or this is a piece of rebar. This trowel worked a little bit better. See? And you can also use like a screwdriver if you have that. Anything that will make spaces so that you can make sure your nitrogen is getting down in there. And then I have some measuring cups that I use for outdoor stuff, and you need a 1/2 cup measure because that's how much of the nitrogen you're going to put on each bale. And then of course you need water. So if you are doing this on your patio or in your yard, but you don't want to dig up your yard, or you are not allowed to, it's not you're renting or whatever, you can put some heavy-duty plastic down, put your bales on top, or you can put heavy-duty plastic and some pallets and then put your bales on top. You want to put your bales so that the string side is on the side. So you want to have them upright. So the long pieces of straw are on top, the strings are on the sides. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so I will make a few more holes in this this bale over here, and then we'll come back and start adding this fertilizer. Okay, let's tear into this. I've never used this, like I said before, but we're going to give this a try. Let me get some scissors. Okay. That's what it looks like. And we're going to just sprinkle . Okay. Step 2 is to water. So if you don't have a water source where you have your bales, let's say you have your bales in your driveway on some pallets and you don't have any water out there, just get some buckets, and you want at least 2 gallons per bale, and you're going to water it until the water is coming out the bottom. Right away you'll probably see the water coming out the sides of the bale. Just keep watering. You want it to come and puddle on the bottom. So that's what I'm going to do right now. As you're watering, if you're using something like this, I probably should put it to a lighter setting, like a shower setting, because the water is pushing the granules towards the edge, and I don't want them to fall off. I want them to go down in. And right now this bale is so tight and everything is fresh, so to speak, so it's really hard to work with as far as that goes. Eventually it will get soft and you will be able to just move it with your hands. Right now that's not the case, so I'm going to change this to I need a new nozzle but I'm going to change it to a mist or a shower setting to preserve the fertilizer and make sure that it stays on top.